Welcome to the Ask Linux Academy show where you, the community, gets to ask us questions and we answer them for you. So all you have to do is go on social media and use the hashtag #AskLinuxAcademy and we will pick up those answers and then we may answer them on the show using someone from our staff. In fact, today we are doing an episode with our founder and CEO, Anthony James. So let's go ahead and find him and then let's get started.
Our first question today comes from Steve Poe. While I love Linux Academy, I know there are many choices today in online AWS learning. So from your research, how do potential employers rate the value of Linux Academy's AWS course certifications?
That's a great question. We talk to our employers on a regular basis. As you know, we have Teams accounts. And really, one of the things that they're looking for is not always just a certification, right? Sometimes that certification will get your foot in the door. Sometimes the certification will say, hey, I have this base level knowledge. But what they're looking for is practical, hands-on experience. And at the Linux Academy, what we do is we offer scenario-based hands-on labs. Not something you download and deploy in your environment, but something where you hit start, deploys out your environment, gives you a scenario to complete, walks you through doing it, and teaches you this hands-on. And that's something that employers really value. In interviews, they're gonna ask what practical things have you actually done? What have you done hands-on? They're gonna expect for you to have that knowledge. So that's the differentiator for you when you are looking to try to get a job in cloud computing. Great question.
Our next question comes from Jason on the Linux Academy community. I went through the Git and GitLab courses and have set up GitLab at my company. Now I've got to do a presentation on how to use it, modified for our use case. I don't want to do a live demo, so I thought I would do a video so remote employees could view when they have the time. So my question for you, what tools do you guys use when creating your course videos?
That's great. So what you want to do, since you need to do it for your company, is not get too complicated. We use a lot of advanced tools that require powerful computing machines for encoding and a lot of expensive mic hardware. All you really need is just a basic webcam, something that sounds good. They can see your face, so it's engaging, as well as something like Camtasia, but there's also a lot of free video recording software out there that you can download. If you just do a quick Google search, there's stuff for Linux, there's stuff for Mac, there's stuff for Windows, and you'll be able to record that for free. You could also do it if it still has the watermark logo on there, because you don't have to worry about necessarily not having those watermarks when you're displaying it to your company. So real easy to get started. It's an awesome opportunity to get in there. And just so you know, if you take that opportunity to teach, it really shows your team and your employers that you're a thought leader in doing that. So great job.
Our next comes from Stana on our community Slack. How did Anthony recruit Terry? Tell the story behind it. For reference, Terry is one of the first on our team.
So that is a great story. Terry, who's a VP of Content Implementation, used to be my boss. Believe it or not, we were on the same team, teammates, but he was my boss. And really, we started doing Linux Academy. Terry just loves Linux. And I was doing it before I started working there as a senior systems Linux administrator. And he loves Linux. And when he found out what we were doing, he said, you know, how can I help? I just love the Linux and the Linux community. And so he started doing it as a part-time instructor. And it just went from there. And Terry now works at the Linux Academy. We switched roles a little bit, but it's a great dynamic. And Terry's wonderful. And I'm glad to have him on the team.
Next up, we have another from our community Slack, this time from Noni. What is Anthony's favorite distro?
Well, that's a great question too. So honestly, it used to go back and forth between Ubuntu and CentOS. Right now, I'm a CentOS, however you want to say it. It goes both ways, right? And a Red Hat fan. Particularly, not any reason why. I actually, as weird as it sounds, really enjoy SE Linux and Red Hat and CentOS's implementation of that. So maybe it's because I just enjoy messing with things like that.
He likes SE Linux.
That's why I say, like, it seems a little weird, but I like it.
And we have another from Noni. When is Anthony going to release the Google Cloud Labs?
That's a great question. As everybody knows, we love hands-on training. So we actually just redeveloped our lab platform into its own service to power cloud assessments, to power Linux Academy. We've just launched Azure hands-on labs. We have OpenStack hands-on labs, Linux hands-on labs, our cloud servers. And of course, we're going to launch our new Google Compute section at the end of May. Don't tell anybody, it's top secret. And then you'll be followed along, or it will follow along with Google Compute Labs, hopefully later this summer is what we're looking at.
Up next, a question from YouTube from VJ. Do you have plans to create courses on the 3 AWS specialty certifications that are currently in beta?
That's a great question. The answer is yes, specifically because we've already created 2 of them and launched them on Linux Academy. So the AWS Networking Specialty and the AWS Big Data Specialty are already available on Linux Academy, and the AWS Security Specialty is in development. So you will see that here probably late June.
And finally, we've got a question from Sean on our Slack. He wants to know if Anthony would rather fight 1 horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? A classic question.
I would rather fight 1 horse-sized duck, because if you have a lot of guys running all the way around you, you can't see them all. It's a whole thing, and then they gang up on you. So for sure, definitely a horse-sized duck, but use like a Braveheart sword if I could pick. You know, if you've ever seen Braveheart, he's got a giant sword. So for sure, a horse-sized duck with a Braveheart sword.